Hello.
Welcome back.
Jesus Christ, extra grimy
It's very
today.
dusty.
Yeah, it looks like someone just smeared ash all over the lens.
Well, that's because something big and dramatic is happening, and yeah, it's meant to be fog, but it does just look incredibly dusty around here. Like, the destruction from this bridge has gotten so out of hand.
We are in the domain of the dust men.
Actually, see, I thought it was supposed to be dusty. Like, I thought it was there was actually supposed to be dust for some reason.
I believe there's actually a blast shard up there that I spent a little while before the video trying to get.
What the hell is going on? There's something wrong with your phone. Every time I try and call you, I get disconnected.
I don't have time to run tech support for you, Moya. Figure it out yourself.
So now Cole is getting pretty antsy with the liar Moya. Not returning her calls. Calling her a snooty bitch government agent behind her back.
Well, I mean, honestly, like, I can't blame him. Like, I never return calls on my phone. I can relate.
This little section where you're crossing the bridge is a pretty fun one, though.
Point of interest.
Well, that's debatable. I might not find it very interesting at all.
Yeah, it's all kind of foggy and samey. It's not that interesting.
Unless you really like fog, in which case it's everywhere, so no matter where you look, it's a point of interest. But for me, I've got higher standards, frankly.
The fog does do a really terrific effect of making you feel as if, like, you're not scaffolding, those bars things that you're standing on is pretty much the only thing there. There's nothing below you. It's kind of like a really great isolating feel. I like it a lot. And how this whole bridge is just being enshrouded into the smog is really cool.
I would like to point that he just called Cole Electric Man. I really like that name for Cole, the Electric Man.
Better than the nicknames he's gonna get bridled with as the series goes on. This whole section is nice and cinematic, but it's one of the easiest gunfights throughout, especially if you know where the enemies are, because they're pretty light in this section. And they've all very nicely been perched, and this car is somehow here.
Yeah, I cannot decide whether that car being speared on there like that is really cool or really stupid.
Oh, I missed. Looked cool as fuck, though. And the battery on that car seems a lot more full than any of the other cars, so I wonder if that's intentional or not.
It looked cool draining it, though. That was a bit of a leap of faith just dropping down like that in this fog.
I actually think that would have been a really cool entrance to the boss fight if it didn't interrupt it with a cutscene. Like, you just drop in, the dust clears, and then you see that.
Yeah, definitely.
And then you have Cole's reaction yourself of holy shit.
This is what my father wanted. Me, governing all that I could see.
Which isn't very much right now. Jesus Christ, it's the Reaper baby from Mass Effect 2, but somehow even more stupid, but at the same time less stupid.
Actually, surely it would be difficult to see inside of those things with a bunch of, like, scrap metal in front of your face.
By the way, this boss fight is really easy, but you might want to take that with a grain of salt, considering something.
Ow.
Off to a flying start.
God, just imagine his reaction after killing Cole McGrath like that. Like, he goes to all the trouble of building this big titan, then he just sort of pushes him a few feet backwards and he falls to his death.
The reason this boss fight really is a piece of piss, because those conduits that the trash bag has got a few parts back, he's basically that with way more health. He has about 3 attacks, and he sends out these things, which isn't really an attack so much as free experience.
I think that my biggest problem with this boss fight, especially compared to those big hulking guys we fought before that were similar to him, is the fact that there's absolutely no interaction here. This is essentially like those arena fights we had earlier, where just there was stuff being catapulted over the wall, just disconnected and not particularly threatening from all the way over there. It would have been way cooler if he stomped around up here and, got in your face.
Yeah, well, he didn't have time to give that thing legs. Unless it's got legs and it's just, like, crawling.
It's got this, like, embarrassingly small legs.
Like, he has a bunch of tiny legs. No, like, he has, like, 50 really, really tiny legs, and he just wobbles around.
You notice the big problem with the boss fight in this game is that all of his attacks have obvious perfect counters that work near enough 100% of the time.
I would just like to point out on that last line there, he said, "You cannot stop me, this is my birthright, my destiny." I was reading the subtitles and read that, "You can't stop me, this is my birthday."
Some serious issues, you know.
That sounds so pathetic.
I just love that he just starts standing casually at the end of it.
Alden's totally the type of character, like, I could actually kind of picture him shouting that, "It's my birthday, you don't understand!"
That's probably what he shouted when Kessler walked in and kicked him out of the First Sons Club. No, it's my birthday!
Like, oh god, wouldn't that make that cutscene so much more effective if, like, instead of just sitting in the chair as a small child, he was, like, sitting at the head of the table, still in the suit and everything, and with all the, like, masked guys around him, but he was also wearing a little, like, paper birthday hat, and there was a birthday cake with candles in front of him at the time. Then he just gets kicked out. It would do a lot to humanize him.
He doesn't even look human outside of that stupid machine.
I'll kill you.
You know, for how much animosity he's supposed to hold to us, we never really do see him develop that much as a character throughout his, you know, island.
Right?
It took me a while there to realize that he wasn't calling Cole a whore.
Just some old guy howling about how Kessler had stolen
Kessler is a
his
giant.
first
I'm sorry,
son's
folks.
birthright.
Cole is a giant man whore, though. Those posters he's got up everywhere around town.
Get revenge. To join
They got
forces
phone
and
numbers
kill
on them, you just
Kessler.
can't see because of the low
I must
res.
have felt my hesitation. It was in that moment of indecision.
I wonder what would happen if you actually dialed that phone
Could have
number.
survived that fall.
Maybe you would get a
But
pest
Alden's
control
gone.
hotline.
Same rules don't apply. Either
That's
way,
how
these
Trish
things
found
come
out his
to
new
a
phone
head.
number after the last one
My
exploded.
enemies are all gathered here in the historic district.
And they've got FAMASs, because they are the genome soldiers.
Battle.
Goddamn, Zeke looked badass back on that rooftop.
He's
I
posing.
know.
He's posing for the next Battlefield box art.
Well, yeah, blowing up a giant trash monster does make you slightly more of a hero, I suppose. So yep, we're now in the historic district, the final island with the toughest enemies and the shittiest conduits. Spoiling it now.
I will say, I kind of like, well, I'll wait till we see the conduit to talk about that.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough.
You know, I like the designs of the First Sons, but I wish they would look better in a different game. Like, just they're too detailed on a small level, and you can't really get a good impression.
Okay.
What the fuck?
I just want to show it off there. When you start a mission, it reloads all the mission data, so any random NPCs just despawn.
Jesus Christ, a fate worse than just willed into nothing.
That turret segment is meant to be like, you know how when you get to the Warren, you get charged by all those homeless people.
Yeah.
That's meant to be similar, but it's way less effective in that one because there's just less of them. It's like they're meant to be tougher enemies, but they're not really scaled for cull as much as that in that initial encounter, so you can just ignore them.
I will say, though, we were talking about lighting earlier. I really like it here. I think it was a very effective way to introduce a historical district. Like, everything's almost desaturated, and it just feels like the fallout of some big, massive event. And, you know, like, it's desaturated except for a few, like, red and blue, you know, just for a few lights scattered everywhere.
Hey look, here's that bridge we fried in the opening cutscene.
The place definitely seems more dismal than everywhere else.
We've joked about it before, we've given it away pretty much, but this is where the blast took place, at the beginning of the game.
To accelerate things, evolve or die, as they say.
I've evolved pretty far, I mean, I've developed electric powers.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, where did you come from? I don't like these conduits. They're not hard, they're just tedious, because they stomp towards you. I actually can't tell you what they do when they get close, because I can't remember. I don't think they ever do throughout my whole time playing this.
I would say I like the idea behind their design, like they get bigger, but it's like a pink hologram. Like, I like the choice of pink, I like the idea of, you know, them having these big pink hologram type mechs, but yeah, it just doesn't, it needed more work.
What's the next minute?
And that's why she's sitting here next to me. I planted a series of bombs across the city, and each is on a timer. Fail to disarm any of them before they detonate, and she dies.
Oh no.
Bastard.
I've engaged the timer on the first bomb. You don't have much time.
And this mission, it's actually pretty difficult.
Is it on a timer?
I believe it is actually on a timer. Really about the First Sons is they, aside from their conduit, they have two conduits, much like the Dustmen had. Their regular troops are just, I'm not sure if they're more accurate, but they are definitely more hardy. They can take a few more hits, so you'll want to be throwing out your extra moves just to kind of keep them on the ground, really.
I really like Cole's run when he has the Gigawatt Blades out, but it makes sense that they would because the other dudes were just two gangs, and then Cole happened to fight them. These guys are like specifically here to fight Cole. They came prepared with outside gear designed to fight an electric man.
Right. Considering the nature of their leader, it would only make sense that it'd be specifically designed to counter Cole.
Because of you, Cole. Someone's brother.
And then they're obviously the most inhuman-looking enemy. Like, we looked at that conduit they have earlier on. That looks like a suit that he needs to keep alive more than anything else.
Gives me a big World War I vibe.
The designs of these dudes actually make me think of Atlantis, the Lost Empire.
I don't
I can see what you mean. I mean, it's mostly the gas masks for me.
Right. Well, they have the long coats too, and the
Yeah.
boots and stuff.
You'll thank me.
And like some of them have those sort of like old diver style helmets.
Well, right, but you know, Atlantis, you know, still takes place during World War One. Well,
Yeah.
So yeah.
But that time period.
30 seconds.
Now, this fight here, this is actually pretty tough because as you can see, they have civilians in fucking fences of electricity. Which, I mean, that keeps them in, but
Can
I
you
can
just
drain off of
Yeah,
it.
I was...
Yep, you're meant to drain it away. I turn your imprisonment into my empowerment.
I have to say, this is really an effective way to kick off the new island. Like, you just straight up the first mission drops you into this huge high-octane, everything's at risk type mission.
Yeah, look how much shit is going on right now. I'm trying desperately not to hit civilians. The ground is shaking because of that son of a bitch. It is actually a nice big battle scene.
See, that is something I do think they're like they do look cool when they're just like sort of marching at you from a sort of distance.
And also, they're the easiest conduit, but they pay out 75 experience for one. You get some pretty good bang for your buck taking those things out. I encourage it.
I will say I didn't like this park area in the game.
Is it meant to be like Central Park? Because it's kind of,
Yeah.
That's my way of qualifying. It's just kind of,
Like, there's not a lot of... It's very unfriendly for Cole's abilities. I mean, there's not too many places to drain, but there's nowhere to really get around it quickly, and it's really easy to lose track of enemies in there, and just...
What?
You can see how, like, I don't even like. You see, I've dived out of the park to shoot him from behind the fence because fuck fighting him in the park. But I don't know. I think it's kind of cool that they've made an area that is completely the antithesis of all of Cole's powers, and then the first mission on this island, they want you to fight in it. That's got something to it.
I mean, at least it's not like Central Park in a Spider-Man game.
You can use the shield in conjunction with the Gigawatt Blades to close the gap, which is kind of ridiculous.
Can you use the Gigawatt Blades on the big guys?
Not really, because they're elevated above the ground.
Okay.
And the hit arc on them is really awkward, because the melee hitting in this game is already awkward enough, and these things are even
Right.
worse. So, something about these guys is, honestly, just pump them full of basic shots, because, like, grenades, who are you kidding, that's a waste of them. Missiles, still kind of a waste. Blasting does nothing, so Just keep, like, because you backpedal faster than they walk.
They do have a very goofy walk. Like, each footstep is very deliberate, very high, like they're stepping through tires or something.
Well, have you ever tried to walk with a non-corporeal form?
Yes.
Oh.
We were on a
Is that
date,
hard?
that non-corporeal form and we took a walk through the park.
But you didn't walk in the... You didn't... This is
Cole,
a weird
that,
tangent.
Snake, that's a private matter, okay? I think you're getting a little too personal
yeah,
here.
I'll walk away. I'll walk away. What happens between you and the non-corporeal form is entirely your business.
From one roof hangs Trish, the love of your life. From the other, 6 doctors. Think of all the good they'll be able to do, the thousands of lives they'll save. Which is more important, Cole? The life of one, or the lives of many? Bombs are attached to each platform. You have time to save one, but not both.
So, here's the... This is probably the second most important morality choice of the game.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, holy shit, just...
This is really
It's
cool,
effective.
the lighting on here as you're climbing up. It gives you time to think about it, and it's very dramatic.
Yeah, put it on a high building, give you time... It actually gives both time for Kessler to deliver his speech and for you to make your decision. I'm actually looking to see if those are the doctors, and yep, these are the doctors.
Jesus.
I'm actually now stopped so he can get the rest of his speech out. Because, you know, he spent a lot of time preparing this. He may as well get to showboat a little.
Now, this moral choice is actually really cool, primarily because, you know, I think it's the one that, like, actually really benefits from being, like, a sort of Boolean obvious thing pointed out to you here, because it makes you so much more responsible. And for me personally, because, oh fuck, that just happened.
That fucking animation is cheesy as hell, though. Just yells skyward.
Trish fell.
What would happen if you jumped? Would you, like, just Trish midair?
Do a thing.
I don't think you can jump. I think most of your movement is disabled then. I hope I'm right, because otherwise I missed a prime opportunity.
Do your own thunder drop as she's falling?
People with my powers. And that she loved
No, but yeah, as I was saying earlier, I had basically done all good up to this
buried her
point.
in the park.
But then I actually, this is like the one evil choice I made, because, you know, out of all the good I did, I wanted to do one selfish action for myself, and I paid... Fuck.
The consequences of which we'll see shortly here.
Right, but the thing is,
Yep.
thing is that I still got this ending because this moral choice actually hinges on your total morality and not necessarily, you know, that specific choice.
Which is a cool way of doing it, I suppose, because these cutscenes are actually really black and white when you get down to it. So if you're Max Hero and you've been basically Lightning Jesus, then it would make no sense.
Where the hell were you?
Well, part of it too is like they have you wear specific outfits in them too. I think because like Cole looks different. I don't know. I seem to remember that being a thing where you would look different depending on.
Your neck on the line.
There's a bunch of graves there, so I like to think Cole saw Trish fell and then just abandoned the doctors as they all took off running. They were just, like, scared for their lives just watching him fuck off.
That was a really awkward. How did that blast shard get there?
Myself a new power in the
I don't know.
process.
You can ask that for many of them.
Bombs are attached to each platform. You have time to save one, but not both.
Well, I'm not even going to save this woman at my feet, so...
How did Peter Parker deal with this?
Is there an option to get up there and then just like fry Trish? Like
I hope
super
so.
evil?
No one even thought about that.
30 seconds.
Like even if yeah, exactly, that would throw Kessler for a fucking loop.
Very
He'd just like, even he would call you up and just go, shit. Okay, man, yeah, you're probably ready for this shit.
This is my game now.
big picture.
You're not ready to make hard choices, Cole. Oh yeah? I'll make my own really stupid choice instead.
Oh, that would be great though if like it just completely went full evil, like if you actually just straight up fried her.
Ooh, and it's not even Trish.
Jesus Christ, absolutely heart-sinking, put the controller down and stare at the screen for 10 minutes decision. Like, I don't think this is like one of the few moral choices. I think like probably the most impactful moral choice I've ever experienced in a game.
I do actually like the fact he tries to do his revive move
Just
there.
long enough to say that she was ashamed of what I'd become. That God had given me these powers and I'd squandered them, hurting others and thinking only of myself.
That's pretty high praise she's holding him in.
Buried her in the park alongside others who died since the blast. Kessler's gonna pay for this. I'm gonna find that sick bastard, and I'm gonna kill him.
No response to, you know, Trish chiding him that one last time.
I have learned nothing.